No one in the grand Hartley mansion could have guessed the secret quietly unfolding within its walls. The house was enormous, with tall ceilings, polished floors, and rooms filled with expensive furniture. Despite its grandeur, parts of the mansion felt quiet, almost lonely. Most staff moved quickly, performing their duties without noticing the small, simple moments that often mattered most. The heir of the Hartley family, a blind 17-year-old, lived on the second floor. He noticed everything: the soft creak of floorboards, the faint smell of polished wood, and the subtle shifts in sunlight. He loved exploring, using his hands and ears as guides, often spending hours discovering little things most overlooked. Despite his blindness, he had an incredible curiosity about the world, and he was especially drawn to music. There was a piano in the mansion, a grand one covered in dust. No one had touched it for years, thinking it belonged to the family's past. One day, he ran his fingers along the keys. When he pressed one, a deep, resonant note echoed in the room. He was fascinated. He pressed another key, then another, exploring sounds one by one. He did not know the names of the notes or how to play properly, but he could feel the vibrations, and they excited him. The piano became a secret place, somewhere he could escape and discover a world beyond what his eyes could see. It was during one of these afternoons that Clara, the maid, noticed him. In her late 20s, quiet and observant, she had been working at the mansion for years. Most people saw her as just another staff member, someone who cleaned rooms and served meals. But Clara had a secret. She had trained in music since childhood and knew how to play beautifully. She had also learned how music could speak when words could not. She had always kept her talent hidden. In a house with strict social roles, a maid was not expected to perform in front of the family. But when she saw the young heir at the piano, something stirred inside her. She noticed how his fingers hesitated and how his face lit up with curiosity. There was a spark in his interest, something rare, and she felt an urge to help him. One afternoon, she quietly entered the music room while he experimented with the piano. She stood just outside, listening to the hesitant notes. Then she took a gentle step forward and said softly, "Would you like me to show you a little?" He startled at first, but nodded eagerly when he heard kindness in her voice. Clara guided his hands over the keys, showing him how to press them for more pleasing sounds. She explained slowly, and over time introduced him to simple melodies. Their lessons were secret. The young heir knew the family might not approve of a maid teaching him, and Clara understood. They kept sessions quiet, often when the house was empty. They sat together for hours, sometimes laughing at mistakes, sometimes falling silent as the notes filled the room. For the young heir, these lessons became more than music. They gave him freedom and confidence. He had often felt limited by his blindness, as if certain doors in life were closed. But with Clara's guidance, he discovered he could create beauty and express himself in unexpected ways. He felt proud in ways he never had before. Clara, too, found something she had long forgotten. She loved music, but had mostly played for herself. Teaching him reminded her why she loved it. She cherished the moments when his face lit up learning a new piece, or when he closed his eyes and let the music flow naturally. She realized that teaching him was not just about the piano. It was about connection, trust, and showing someone they could achieve something wonderful. The mansion continued its daily routines, unaware of the secret growing within its walls. The young heir would often sneak away to the music room, following a path he had memorized, and Clara would be waiting. They developed a rhythm, a quiet understanding of each other's presence. Words were often unnecessary. The music itself spoke volumes. Despite care, moments of tension appeared. Sometimes he would hear footsteps or someone calling his name. He would freeze, fearing that discovery might bring trouble for Clara, but these moments strengthened his determination. Clara became more careful, planning sessions with precision and always aware of the social boundaries they were crossing. After several months, the young heir performed a short piece for himself. He had learned to move confidently across the keys, creating music that was expressive and controlled. The notes were not perfect but carried emotion. Clara, standing behind him, felt quiet pride. She had nurtured his talent from the beginning, and now he was creating something uniquely his own, but the secret could not stay hidden forever. One afternoon, as he played, his father walked past the music room. He paused, hearing the unusual clarity and emotion in the piano. Curious, he moved closer and stood outside, listening silently. The young heir did not notice at first. He was absorbed in the music, his fingers guided by memory and touch. Clara's gentle instructions had taught him more than technique. She had taught him to feel the music. The father watched, surprised by its beauty. When the piece ended, the room was silent. The young heir took a deep breath, proud and slightly exhausted. Clara nodded quietly, sharing the moment of triumph. But the father's curiosity was awakened. He wanted to know who had guided his son over the next days. He observed his son closely, noticing the confidence and ease in his movements. He asked questions, but the young heir was cautious, not revealing the secret. Clara sensed the moment of discovery was approaching, feeling a mix of pride and fear. Even so, their bond grew stronger. They explored more complex pieces, from slow, melancholic melodies to lively tunes. Every session was a journey of learning and discovery. The music room, once quiet and neglected, had become a place of hope and creativity. Clara's presence was a source of comfort. The young heir trusted her completely, sharing frustrations and small victories. He felt seen in a way he rarely did. Clara found fulfillment in teaching him and witnessing his growth. Despite the possibility of discovery, lessons continued. The piano became a bridge to the world for the young heir, and a reminder for Clara that talent and kindness could create beauty even in unlikely circumstances. Their secret continued quietly. As they explored music together, the young heir's confidence grew, and Clara's guidance remained steady. No one outside knew what was happening, and the secrecy made each moment precious. They knew this quiet world could not last forever. But for now, they played, learned, and shared a bond that no one could take away as long as they had music and trust. The quiet in the mansion was broken one afternoon by the sound of the piano, clearer and more confident than ever before. The young heir's fingers moved gracefully across the keys, producing music that was both lively and full of emotion. Clara sat beside him, guiding his hands gently when needed, her calm presence giving him courage. They were so absorbed in the music that they did not notice the door slowly opening, nor the figure that stood silently in the doorway. His father had returned unexpectedly, having been drawn once again to the music he had overheard days earlier. He watched in silence for a few moments, unable to believe what he was seeing. His son, who had always seemed delicate and cautious, was playing the piano with skill and confidence, guided by someone he had barely noticed before. And that someone was Clara, the family maid. The father's first reaction was shock. He had always seen Clara as a devoted staff member, someone to keep the household running smoothly, not as a teacher or mentor to his son. His mind raced with questions. How had this happened without his knowledge? Why had no one told him? And yet, beneath the shock, there was also an unexpected feeling, a quiet pride, the kind a parent feels when they realize their child is capable of more than anyone had imagined. He cleared his throat, and both Clara and his son froze. The young heir turned toward him, panic flashing across his face. Clara's heart raced. They had kept this secret for months, fearing this exact moment. The father's eyes were serious but not unkind as he asked in a measured voice, "Who has been teaching you to play like this?" The young heir hesitated. His fingers twitched over the keys, unsure whether to speak the truth. Clara placed a gentle hand on his arm, giving him courage. "It's me," he said finally. "Clara has been teaching me." There was a long pause. The father studied Clara, then his son, and for a moment the room seemed suspended in time. He had expected excuses, perhaps lies, but instead he saw honesty. He saw trust, respect, and a bond that was clearly strong and real. His initial anger softened slightly, replaced by curiosity. "And why did you not tell me?" he asked. The young heir swallowed and spoke quietly. "I was afraid you would be angry. I didn't want to cause trouble. But Clara, she helped me. She made me feel like I could do something I never thought I could." Clara added, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "I never meant to hide anything to be disrespectful. I just wanted to help him, to give him a chance to experience something beautiful. Music has always been my passion, and teaching him. It's been a gift for both of us. The father's expression softened further. He had always believed in discipline and proper roles, but seeing them together, he realized that rules did not always capture what was right or meaningful. The young heir had grown, not just in skill but in confidence, and Clara had played a key part in that growth. He could not ignore that. "Sit down," he said finally, his tone gentler now. "Play for me." The young heir looked at Clara, who nodded encouragingly. He returned to the piano, and as his fingers moved over the keys, the father listened. Every note carried emotion, every chord told a story. It was not just music. It was an expression of trust, patience, and determination. The father felt something stir in him that he had not expected: pride, admiration, and a sense of connection to his son that went beyond words. When the piece ended, there was silence for a moment. Then the father spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Clara, I underestimated you. I see now that you have given him something precious. I cannot say that I approve of breaking the rules, but I cannot deny the value of what you have done." Clara felt a wave of relief. She had feared reprimand, perhaps even dismissal, but instead she felt a sense of recognition she had never imagined. The father continued, "From now on, these lessons will continue, but openly. No more hiding. You will teach him, and he will continue to learn. But we will do it with honesty and respect." The young heir's eyes shone with gratitude and relief. He had feared that his secret would bring punishment or shame, but instead, he felt a sense of freedom and pride. Clara smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond professional satisfaction. They had faced the fear of discovery together, and now their bond had been acknowledged. Over the next weeks, the lessons continued, now with the father's quiet blessing. He would sometimes sit in the corner of the music room, listening as his son played, and slowly he began to understand the depth of their connection. He noticed the patience in Clara's teaching, the care she took to explain each movement, and the joy that shone in his son's face with every accomplishment. The young heir began to practice more confidently, exploring melodies that were once too complex for him. Clara encouraged him to experiment, to express himself freely, and the music room became a place of creativity and exploration. News of his talent gradually spread within the household. Staff members who had once seen the piano as a relic now stopped by quietly to listen, amazed at what had been achieved through secret dedication and hard work. One day, the father suggested something unexpected. "Why not perform for the family?" he asked. "Let them hear what you have learned. Show them what you are capable of." The young heir hesitated. Public performance had always been intimidating, especially with his blindness. But Clara encouraged him, reminding him of the months of practice and progress. "You are ready," she said softly. "You've done everything to deserve this moment. Trust yourself." The day of the performance arrived. Family members gathered in the mansion's drawing room, curious to see what the young heir had been working on. Clara stood nearby, calm and supportive, as he sat at the piano. He took a deep breath and began to play. The music filled the room, vibrant and emotional, capturing everyone's attention immediately. Each note told a story, each chord carried emotion, and the young heir played with confidence and feeling that no one had seen before. The family listened in awe, moved not just by the skill but by the honesty and passion of his performance. When the last note lingered in the air and faded, there was a moment of silence. Then applause broke out, not loud and boisterous, but sincere and heartfelt. The father looked at Clara, then at his son, and a small smile appeared on his face. "You've made us all proud," he said. The young heir felt a rush of joy, but it was not just about the applause. It was about the journey he had taken, the bond he had formed with Clara, and the courage it had taken to pursue something he loved, despite fear and uncertainty. Clara, too, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had been a guide, a teacher, and a friend. And now her efforts were recognized, not as a servant's contribution, but as something meaningful and lasting. In the weeks that followed, the young heir's confidence grew even more. He continued to explore music, trying new pieces, experimenting with different styles and even composing simple melodies of his own. Clara remained by his side, offering guidance and encouragement, but now without fear of judgment or disapproval. The mansion, which had once seemed rigid and formal, began to feel warmer and more alive. Music echoed through the halls, drawing smiles and quiet admiration from everyone who heard it. The bond between teacher and student had changed the atmosphere of the house, reminding everyone that talent, patience, and care could transform even the most ordinary spaces into something extraordinary. And so, the young heir continued to grow, not just as a musician but as a confident, expressive individual. Clara's quiet dedication and unwavering belief had unlocked a part of him that had been waiting for the right guidance. The father, who had once feared what he did not understand, now watched with pride as his son flourished. Their story became a quiet legend within the mansion, not a story of scandal or rebellion, but a story of trust, courage, and the unexpected ways that kindness and dedication could change lives. The young heir learned that limitations did not define him, and Clara learned that sharing her gift could create something far greater than personal satisfaction. Together, they had discovered the power of connection, the beauty of music, and the importance of believing in one another. In the end, no one remembered the days of secrecy with resentment or fear. Instead, they remembered the music, the courage it took to play, and the bond that had grown between a young blind heir and the maid who had believed in him when no one else did. The piano, once silent and neglected, became the heart of the mansion, a reminder that love, patience, and trust could bring light to even the quietest corners. And for the young heir and Clara, every note played was a testament to what could be achieved when someone cared enough to teach, and someone else cared enough to learn. The secret had been revealed, but the magic of their shared journey would remain, echoing through the mansion forever.